We are at the Wolf Conservation Center in South Salem, New York with the dodo, and we are actually looking at 3 of our ambassador wolves right now. So this black wolf right up here, that's Zephyr. He's 4 years old. He's a Canadian Rocky Mountain gray wolf, and he helps us with our programs. This other wolf right down here, the one looking at the camera, his name is Nakai. He's actually our youngest ambassador wolf. He just turned 2 on Wednesday. He is the little brother of Zephyr, and that's his older sister way over there. That's Alewa. She's very aloof, very elusive, much like a typical wild wolf. She is 4 as well. She and Zephyr are litter mates. They were born at the same time to the same parents. These wolves are here to help us with our education programs, to help us raise awareness for wolves in the wild. These wolves teach people that wolves are not vicious. They're not going to eat you. They are very shy, cautious creatures, and they really play a huge role in the environment. These wolves are what we call keystone species, and they help control everything in the ecosystem from the top down. So if you take a wolf out of the environment, things start to change. Animals start to increase, decrease in their population depending on their role in the food chain. And when you put wolves back in, they actually help regulate everything, and they keep everything nice and healthy. But now today is actually a little bit of a birthday celebration. Wolves are born in the spring, so wolves are usually born in April, May, or early June. These 3 wolves are all born in April. Zephyr and Alewa were born on April 20th, and they will be 5 next Wednesday. Nakai was actually born on April 13th, and he turned 2. And so we like to give our wolves a lot of presents, a lot of fun things for enrichment, because they do work very hard. They teach a lot of people, they put up with a lot of things. And so we like to give them some rewards, and today they are actually getting some presents. These are boxes that we have wrapped. We have filled them with a marrow bone, one present for each wolf, and so they will be getting these pretty wrapped presents. So you'll see Alewa. They're going to get very excited. No, Santa toss. Toss?
I'll toss.
Okay. And so we have, whoop, he might be too afraid. So it's not going to go anywhere. And that's Alewa's present, and then Nakai's present, and then we have Zephyr's present way over here. You'll notice Nakai is running away. He's sprinting away as fast as possible. That's because he is worried that someone else might try to take his present. Alewa also moved hers farther away. The wolves actually scatter, because if they open their presents right next to another wolf, it's an invitation for that wolf to steal it from them.
Michelle Courtwright's asking what they're being kept here for.
What they are kept here for. So these 3 wolves are ambassador wolves. They are kept here for educational purposes. They were born, oh, and if you notice quickly, you'll see Zephyr is peeing on his present. He's actually marking it as his own, so wolves will actually mark their territory. They'll pee on things, they'll poop on things. It's a way to tell other wolves that this is mine. It usually doesn't work too well with these siblings because Alewa and Zephyr have grown up together, so they frequently just take things even if the other has scent marked on it. But these wolves are here for educational purposes. We have educational programs every weekend, and it's a way to teach people about the true nature of wolves and how endangered they are and how important it is to save them. So these wolves are kept here to help with our programs. We have other wolves that are here for breeding purposes. They are kept off exhibit. They are critically endangered, and we have them here in the hopes that they will have pups, and then maybe one day those pups or those parents can actually get to live in the wild. We would love it if all of our wolves could be wild animals. But because these wolves are here and they're helping raise awareness, they're actually doing so much more, and they're contributing to the health and success of their wild kin. And so that is a much bigger deal, and they're actually playing a huge part in all of this, and it's much more than we could ever ask them to do, so we're very thankful. And if you notice, Alewa actually took part of Zephyr's box. So she ran away with it. She stole it. She's over in the corner. And Nakai's going to steal his as well.
Jean Shaw is asking how old they are.
Nakai, right up here, he's the youngest. He's just turned 2 years old, which means he's now an adult wolf. Wolves are considered to be pups until they're 2 years old. Zephyr and Alewa are 4, and they will be 5 years old on next Wednesday, so April 20th. They are relatively young for captive wolves. In the wild, wolves actually only live to be around 4 to 6, 4 to 8 years old. They have to deal with a lot of other wolves, a lot of hunting. Oh, you got the tape. Some challenging things. And so with this, it's they have a lot of access to health care. They get their food delivered to them, so they're able to live much longer, usually 12 to 15 years. We had a Mexican gray wolf who actually passed away about a month and a half ago, and she would have been 17 in the spring. She would have been our oldest wolf.
And how much space do they have to roam around?
So these wolves in here actually have our largest enclosure. They have 2.5 acres all to their own. You might be able to see the fence way, way, way in the distance. But everything else is kept completely wild. This area here is maintained for our program, so the public can actually see these wolves when they come to visit. But everything else is wild. We have prickers, poison ivy, and it's kept exactly like they would have in a wild area. They also have a second half to their enclosure. Just like all of our enclosures have these double halves, we use them for health purposes, for health checks, for breeding programs. And then if we need to go into one half of the enclosure to clean, we're able to move the wolves to the second half. And if you're able to see Alewa's fur right now, she's the one walking towards the box. It looks like she has some clumps hanging off of her. She's actually in the process of shedding her undercoat. Wolves actually have 2 layers of fur that they grow, they grow the second layer in the winter, and it's called their undercoat. It's what keeps them nice and warm and helps them live in temperatures below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. But the outer coat is what you see on them right now. It's what they have year round, and it's basically like them wearing a rain jacket. So it keeps them very dry. But because it's not very warm, that's why they grow that undercoat in the winter. And so Alewa is actually in the process of shedding hers, because as the days get longer, it's a signal that spring is coming, summer's coming, and she doesn't need that second layer of fur, so she will start to shed. The other wolves are shedding as well, but just not as blatantly obvious as Alewa.
And Pritam Gurung is asking who the alpha wolf is.
Who the alpha wolf? So we actually have 2 alphas in this group. We have Zephyr, the black wolf, and then Alewa. They are the alpha male and female. They are the leaders of this group. And you'll be able to notice, if you come to a program during feeding time, you'll see that Zephyr and Alewa are the wolves that will eat first, and their tails are straight up in the air. And then if anyone would like to see what their undercoat actually looks like, we do have some that we collected from our fence, because the wolves will actually rub up against the fence to help them shed. And so their undercoat is very soft. It's more like wool. And we use that, again, as an educational purpose.
Jean Shaw is asking where they go in cold weather.
In cold weather, these wolves actually love to sleep outside. They sleep in the snow. They sleep on their frozen pond. Because with their undercoats and their outer coats on, they can withstand temperatures below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So they are well equipped for this weather. They would have it much colder were they living in the wild in Canada or out in Yellowstone. So they have no problems with the cold weather. Summer tends to be another issue. They do get extremely warm, and that's why we'll give them things like popsicles or a lot of ice cubes just to help them stay nice and cool.
And you also have endangered wolves here, right?
We do have endangered wolves. So gray wolves gray wolves and red wolves are gray wolves are considered to be endangered in certain areas. They're a bit more tricky to understand. But we do have red wolves and Mexican gray wolves. Mexican gray wolves are a subspecies of gray wolf, and both Mexican gray wolves and red wolves are critically endangered. They are protected under the Endangered Species Act, and they are also part of a federal recovery program. So we have them here in the hopes that they will reproduce and then maybe get to live in the wild one day. But because they are so endangered with red wolves, there's only 50 left in the wild. With Mexican gray wolves, only 97 left in the United States and only around 17 or so left in Mexico. Because they are so endangered and they're at risk of going extinct, we have to be very careful with how we handle them. So we really don't handle them at all. We see them always once a year for health checks, but other than that, the only time we see them is when we actually throw food into their enclosures. We don't hand feed them. We don't give them presents like these wolves. They are strictly here living as wild wolves, so the public is not able to see them because we want to give them the best chance at surviving in the wild, and giving them presents is not the way to do that.
A lot of people are asking why they're so into cardboard.
It's just a fun thing for them to play with, to tear apart. We use cardboard quite a bit for their presents, so they'll either get presents in brown paper bags or in these cardboard boxes, and it's just something fun for them to tear apart. It's like if you give one of your dogs a box, they'll tear it apart as well. It's just a fun thing for them to play with, a fun thing for them to do.
Here, wolves howling.
Those are actually red wolves howling.
Oh,
so
wow.
those are way back in the distance. You'll actually, not him, that's actually Atka, but way back in the distance we actually have some of our red wolves howling. And red wolves have very distinct howls. It's more like a yapping into a howl, not as smooth as these gray wolf howls, but those red wolves are some of our critically endangered species.
Ben Morrison wants to know when they howl, what are they saying?
So we don't really know what they're saying. Howls can convey almost anything. In the wild, wolves will howl if they're looking for food. If they found food, it's a way for them to tell the rest of their pack, the rest of their family. They can howl if they are looking for a new pack, if they're maybe dispersing from their family pack and they're trying to start their own pack. They can howl to warn off intruders. They can howl in case of danger as a way to warn the rest of their family. But here our wolves howl for a lot of different reasons. We don't really know what they're saying. If there's a bark in the howl, it's usually a warning sign, so we know that that wolf is trying to tell someone to stay away, someone or something. But they can also howl if sirens go off, so we don't really know. If they like the sound, they'll howl. But usually they're probably just saying hi.
Great. Well, we're here at the Wolf Conservation Center live on the dodo, and we'll be back soon. Thanks.